South African National Defence Force is investigating the cause of the fire at the Waterkloof Air Force Base in Pretoria. The SANDF says it's ruled out foul play. Let's discuss further with African Defence Review Director Darren Olivier. Darren, thank you for joining me. So before we get to talking about the details or lack thereof at this stage around this fire, let's start with first things first, clarity. Many people commenting about this fire at Waterkloof have been lamenting and saying another day, another national key point in flames. But it's not, is it?
Correct. So under the current rules, no military site is a national key point. So national key points were sites identified under the National Key Points Act of 1980, soon to be replaced by new laws, and effectively don't include any military sites, so bases and that kind of thing as well. It doesn't mean, of course, that Waterkloof isn't important or strategic. It just means that it doesn't fall under that set of law. It's a very common misconception that people have that NKP equals any important site has to be an NKP. Not true. It just means that NKPs are only civilian sites, so non-military sites.
Sure. But having said that, from your vantage point and following these matters quite closely, Darren, it is quite concerning that there was this fire at Waterkloof Air Force Base.
Absolutely. Waterkloof is the primary airbase in Gauteng, Pretoria. It is an incredibly important base because it's also where the President and other VIPs fly from. It's the main home to all Air Force transport. So it hosts the squadrons that fly, for example, the C-130 Hercules. So it's an incredibly important unit, important base. It's very, very kind of necessary, therefore, that security and maintenance and all those other issues remain exceptionally of a exceptionally high standard at the base. What you have here, again, I believe the SANDF has ruled out foul play, although nonetheless, the question is, of course, how this could happen. I mean, even if it was an accident, which if this is the case, it appears that something has gone wrong with the various fuel pumping and fuel dispersal elements over there. This shouldn't be happening. It is a highly crucial, highly critical site, and anything that could harm operations is to be taken extraordinarily seriously.
Would it be overthinking it, Darren, to locate it within the budget cuts, the difficulties that we know the SANDF faces, the various arms of service? We talk about the Navy and how they are not able to gather as many sea hours as they need, the Army, and there are many problems, and also the SA Air Force, which got an upgrade of its equipment in the early 90s, but we've had a number of incidents, for instance, that ditching, that landing in the Congo about 2 years ago. So overall, as a package, the fact that you are saying this shouldn't be happening at the bulk storage site at Air Force Base Waterkloof, can it be isolated from the difficulties and the budget cuts that the SANDF as a whole faces?
No, it's definitely part and parcel of that. It's complicated, of course, because not only is has the budget cuts be having an impact on how much the Air Force is able to sustain its bases and facilities and all the rest, but there's also currently a severe amount of dysfunction between the Defence Force and the Department of Public Works, which is what maintains these bases. So you actually don't have a case where the Defence Force completely controls and maintains its own facilities. If anything goes wrong or requires repair or maintenance, that has to be outsourced by the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. So it's a combination, really, of these ongoing and long-standing budget cuts, combined with the fact that you have two government departments that don't work well together. And as a result, you have a number of military facilities that have been deteriorating sharply over the last 15 to 20 years.
Lastly, Darren, what's the likely impact of this fire at Air Force Base Waterkloof? You mentioned that it's where the president and other VIPs, the flights that they operate, that are used to ferry them, operate from. But you mentioned 1 or 2 other squadrons. In the overall bigger scheme of things, how much of a disruption is a fire at Waterkloof?
Okay, so in this particular case, it depends entirely on how long the fuel supply will be out of action for. In the interim, if it's not too bad, it can be replaced by using trucks coming in from outside. So there actually may be no impact on operations. And it might be possible to quickly at least set up temporary feeds and restore the supply again from those massive underground tanks. So it's quite possible that we won't see an impact. If we do, though, so as I mentioned as well, of course, it's the VIP side, but perhaps more importantly, this is where the Air Force's main transport squadrons fly from. So the aircraft that to fly up and, for example, resupply troops in Mozambique, resupply troops in the DRC, move supplies around the country to keep the SANDF running, provide training to paratroopers, provide training to other parts of the SANDF. So it's an extraordinarily crucial set of squadrons and of operations. And any real, long-standing impact on the operational side will be definitely for the Air Force and for the SANDF. But again, in this case, fortunately, I don't think we're going to see much of a long-term impact because in the short term, you can have trucks that offset it. Longer term, it should be possible to repair this quite quickly, I think.
All right. Thank you for that. Thank you for your insights there. That's Darren Olivier from African Defence Review. He's the director there, just weighing in and helping us understand and perhaps piece together while we await this investigation by the authorities, just the sense of importance of this strategic site, despite the fact that it's not a national key point, as Darren was explaining a bit earlier on.